guys, it's Shelly Thomas from Intrepid Wellness. I am a physical therapist and I help horses and riders be better athletes. And I wanted to follow up on the blog I wrote a few days ago and talk to you about the always exercises that I think riders for the most part should do, and then the exercises that I would very, very, very rarely put in a program. So let's go through what those exercises are, including I'll show you some videos so you know kind of how to do them. So the first exercise that I think should be in rider programs are squats. Squats are a fantastic, fantastic exercise for just like all over body strength. They use your butt, hamstrings, quads, and core. You can do all sorts of variations. You can hold weight or not hold weight. You can do them with your feet together, your feet apart, all that kind of stuff. So I think a lot of squat variations should be in your program. The second type of exercise I think that riders really should do more of is deadlifts. And sometimes this surprises riders because you think of deadlifts as like that, I don't know, the exercise that the big weightlifters do at the gym. But the truth is deadlifts is probably one of the most important exercises because it's a really great integrator of our core strength and then our posterior chain strength. And by that, I mean the large muscle groups that are on the back of our body. So your, erector spinae muscles that run down your spine, a lot of your shoulder stabilizers, your latissimus, your glutes, hamstrings, calf muscles to a certain extent come into play there. Your pelvic floor comes in with the core stuff. And so deadlifts are a fantastic way to get all those muscles firing. And as riders and horse people, we use those muscles all the time. We use them when we ride because we've got to keep an upright posture on a horse. And then we use them around the barn. Like when you go lift a bale of hay, you are doing a deadlift. When you lift water buckets off the floor, off the ground, you're doing a deadlift. So it's something that you should practice in the gym in a controlled situation where you can break it down into the pieces and parts and really learn how to engage those muscles to stabilize your spine properly and then pop up into an upright posture with good motor control. The next set of exercises I think should be in riders' programs, which are very often overlooked, are things for our glutes or our butt muscles. So there's a whole world of these out there, but things like hip thrusters, bridges, single-legged bridges, clamshells, single-leg standing exercises, those kind of things. And generally speaking, if I put a really broad brush over things, I think as riders, we don't strengthen our glutes enough. When you actually ride a horse, you don't think about using your glutes very much. In fact, in your riding lessons, you're often told to not squeeze your butt, right? Like, don't squeeze your butt, don't squeeze your inner thigh, like keep that relaxed while flowing with the horse. But the reality of it is that our gluteal muscles are one of the largest. The gluteus maximus is the largest muscle in our body in terms of how much torque and power it can create. And our gluteal muscles are really important for pelvic control. So even when we ride a horse, our gluteal muscles have to fire to keep our pelvis like where we want to put it. If you're riding, say, in a dressage saddle, you want your pelvis more upright. If you are in a jump position, your pelvis is tipped forward. But it's that principle of it has to stay where you put it, right? And our gluteal muscles are going to come into play to help with that. So we need to strengthen them. So adding in those kinds of exercises is really important. All right, the next thing I'd put in is core strengthening exercises. I could go on about this for a long time. I will have other blogs that drill into this. But the purpose of our core is to resist motion. It's not to move us. It's not to do a crunch. It's not to help us twist. Those are different abdominal muscles and they're like mover muscles. Our core muscles are really deep within us and their job basically is to stiffen us and resist motion to keep our spine in good alignment, to keep our internal organs safe, to provide a platform for our other muscles to work off of. So there's a ton of core exercises out there that you can do, but the fundamental purpose of them is to resist motion. So I'm a really big believer in planks, plank variations. I love Pallof presses and all the different variations you can do of Pallof presses. Here you see me doing a half kneeling Pallof press or a version of it using a resistance band. And the thing about this is that band is pulled so tight that if I relaxed, it would spin me back to towards where it's tied. And so this exercise is causing me to resist motion while then lifting my arms up and down. So you want to get into exercises like that where you're trying to like resist flexing or resist extending, resist rotating, etc. I run a core challenge for equestrians. My next one, I run this often, so I always check my website. My next one happens to be starting September 9th if you're interested in more of a deep dive in what are core muscles and how to properly strengthen them. Then push-ups. I know everyone rolls their eyes and says, oh, I can't do a proper push-up. I mean, that might indeed be true, but we should go down fighting in an effort to try, because push-ups are the king or the queen of exercises, however you want to look at that. To do a proper push-up, you need strength, head to toe. Everything has to be firing in a coordinated manner to keep you in good alignment and then allow you to go all the way down. They're a phenomenal, phenomenal exercise. And one little caveat I have about push-ups is you should never do a girl push-up. I don't know why we teach this in the industry, but when you drop to your knees and do what we call girl push-ups, you actually break that supportive chain of strength in your body. And then when you do go into the push-up, it allows your shoulders to migrate forward more. It's tremendously stressful on your shoulders. So always do boy push-ups where you're on your feet and your hands, and simply make them be elevated push-ups if you're not strong enough to do them on the floor. So you put your hands on the couch, or you put your hands on the kitchen counter, or you put your hands on the wall. You just elevate yourself to the point you need to be able to have the strength to go up and down. Don't drop to your knees, ever, ever. Then the last thing I think should be in all riders' programs, I guess there's two more things, is shoulder work. You know, on a horse, we need our shoulders to be, really, as we age, we tend to get our shoulders coming forward. And it's just the nature of the world we live in. We do a lot of computer work. We do a lot of driving, barn chores, everything's in front of us. We carry kids around. I mean, everything's kind of in front of us. So our shoulders get tight this way. So we need to include in our workout programs work to open, get strong behind. Again, crucial for riders is we need posterior chain strength. We need strength behind us so that we can stay upright on a horse and resist the forces that the horse is putting through us. Then the last group of exercises I put in is balance work, right? I always say the secret to riding a horse is keeping a leg on each side. So you have to know how to keep yourself over your body. So adding in balance work, single-legged work, like standing on one leg, work on a ball, work on like a balance beam kind of things is all fantastic for keeping our vestibular system, visual system, and proprioceptive systems strong, which are what is needed for balance, and then allowing us to kind of know where our midline and our center of our body is and stay over it. One little interesting thing though about balance exercises is there's kind of been a move in the fitness industry to start doing fitness, like strength building things on top of unstable surfaces. And I would strongly encourage you to separate those. When you're doing balance exercises, you're working on balance. When you want to get stronger and work on strength, you need to be on a non-moving platform to really allow your muscles to fully engage. Don't mix those. You end up with actually improving your balance, but you don't necessarily improve your strength except to like the ceiling that your balance can handle. So when you do strength exercises combined with balance, you're artificially capping your strength gains. So just keep that in mind if you decide to, do like dumbbell curls when you're standing on a Bosu ball. That's fine, but don't think that you're like maximally working your arms that day. You're actually maximally working your balance system. So those are like the categories of exercises that go along with the blog I posted a couple days ago that I really think riders should include in their programs. Here's my list of things to not include in your programs, right? And I say never, but for the most part, it's never put them in your programs, right? We can probably find a couple exceptions of all the millions of people who work in the horse industry and ride horses. But for the most part, these don't serve us as riders. Okay, the first is toe raises. I have a picture here. My husband loves it when I use photos of him. Going up and down on your toes, it is an important muscle group to strengthen. But I find that a lot of plantar flexion strength. We are we're just an active group of people. You're moving things around the barn. You're always lifting things. You're stepping up and down on things. Like your calves are probably strong enough just from your day-to-day life that you're doing with your horses. And two things. We want to fit in our tall riding boots, so you don't really want to blow up your calves. And then secondly, as riders, we spend a lot of time training those muscles to be long because we want to ride with our heel down. So when you go and strengthen them, you're actually kind of shortening the muscle up to a certain degree. So I just don't think that they serve a great purpose for riders, so I don't put them in the program. Okay, the next type of exercise I keep out of our rider program for the most part is things that you do with your palms down, right? But as riders, we're really wanting to ride with our thumbs up, right? Because this has the best release for our elbow muscles so that we don't get too strong on the horse and we can still like flow with them because we want our elbows to be flexible. When we turn our palms down, we start to engage a bunch more muscles and it actually decreases some of that elbow flexibility. It brings in some strength here in our pectoral muscles and our latissimus and makes us kind of have strength rounded forward. We want strength opened up. And so I really encourage you to train with things with your thumbs up or even palms up is fine. Palms up is not a problem. These front muscles engaged and it's not helpful to riders. So take those out of your program. Okay. Next, hip flexor dominant moves. As riders, right, every article you read about fitness talks about stretching your hip flexors. Like we don't want tight hip flexors. And there is a really good reason for that because it really limits the amount of like flow we have in the saddle, both because tight hip flexors, they tend to lock out our back into extension and then also they lock out some of our range of motion of our hip. So it doesn't make sense for us to then go do exercises such as the jackknife that I'm demoing here, or the traditional sit-up, that what those do is they bring in our hip flexor strength. Our hip flexors are attached to our low back and then come down and attach to the top of our thigh. And when we have to lift our entire body up into space, initially at the bottom of the lift, it's our abdominal muscles doing it. But then after we get past a certain angle, our hip flexors kick in and finish it off. And we're training them to do that. And so, what happens is that training will cross over into the saddle. If you've trained your hip flexors to fire to help control your back or to control your leg, they will fire when you're in the saddle. And then you're going to find that you lose a lot of your flexibility and your flow on your horse. Then, two more. I talked about prolonged planks. You hear about these plank challenges like, oh, I did a plank challenge and I built up to planking for 5 minutes. I built up to planking for 3 minutes. And here's my thing about that. In my physical therapy practice, I actually work with helping people recover from injuries. And a lot of these people are very fit people. And very oftentimes they have not been training their core properly, which has led to a leg injury, an arm injury, a back injury, all that kind of stuff. And there is a real misunderstanding of how our core muscles fire. Our core muscles, one of our core muscles is our diaphragm. Muscles are like a pop can in our body. And the roof is the diaphragm, the floor is the pelvic floor, and then there's some muscles that like make up the pop can. Those muscles are supposed to rhythmically contract to stabilize us, relax to allow the lungs to expand, contract to stabilize us, relax to allow some lung expansion. They're not a muscle group that is designed to be contracted and held for a really long time. Completely different, say, than my bicep muscle. Like my bicep muscle is designed to contract and hold until it fails. Like if I can hold it for 5 minutes, awesome. If I can hold it for 20 minutes, awesome. My body physiologically doesn't need that muscle to release to breathe. But our core muscles, when we get up into plank, if we are truly planking properly, and right there is part of the problem, is a lot of people don't plank properly. We have to engage our diaphragm a little bit. And so it's really difficult to stay in a prolonged plank for minutes and minutes and minutes on end. I much prefer that we honor how those muscles work naturally, get in a plank. I even like 10 and 20 second planks and then rest for just a split second and then pop back in that plank again. You could do 100 repetitions of 20-second planks and you would be exactly working those muscles as they're designed to work in the body. Don't hold your planks for a long time. Hold them for 10, 20 seconds, even up to a minute is okay. And then just like go down on your knees for just a second and then pop back up in your plank. You can work on your core endurance that way, but honor your body system really effectively. And then the last one I don't think you should have in your program is Supermans. I don't have a photo of this one because I don't do them. But that's, where you're lying on your stomach and then your arms are out in front of you and your legs are behind you and you lift your arms and legs off the floor like you're flying like Superman. Those put tremendous pressure across your spine, tremendous pressure across your spine. And so if you looked at the newtons of force across your spine, the little back muscles that are contracting to allow you to do that, it's up in the hundreds of force pressure, which is not good for our back. And so don't include those in your program. You can do modified Supermans if you want, where like you keep your arms closer to you and you lift up just a little bit and you lift your legs up just a little bit. Those are good for like posterior chain engagement, a little bit of back strengthening without putting huge forces. But the one where you like fully fly out, it's just really not good for your back. And as we're active equestrians. We already have enough challenges to our spine. We don't need to bring it into our workout program. All right. I hope everybody found that helpful. Make sure that you include those or don't include those in your workout program. And until next time, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me or email me at info@intrepidwellness.com. Have a great day.